How to Let Go and Find True Happiness Within. Introduction. Are you tired of feeling weighed down by past mistakes, unhealed wounds, or the constant pressure of unmet expectations? How to Let Go and Find True Happiness. Within isn't just another self-help book. It's a transformative guide to releasing the emotional baggage that keeps you stuck. In a world where we're often encouraged to hold on to our pain, grudges, and regrets, this book empowers you to break free from these chains and discover the true peace that comes from within. By learning to let go of the things that no longer serve you, you create space for healing, growth, and the kind of happiness that isn't dependent on external circumstances. It's time to stop carrying what's holding you back and start living a life where joy, serenity, and fulfillment are yours for the taking. Let's dive into the powerful steps that will help you unlock your inner happiness and live with freedom. Chapter 1. Understanding the Power of Letting Go. Letting go isn't just about physically removing things or people from your life. It's much deeper than that. It's about releasing the grip that these things or people have on your mind and emotions. When we hold on to negative emotions like pain, resentment, or unfulfilled expectations, we unintentionally create emotional weight that can keep us stuck in the past. Holding on to these feelings may feel familiar or even comfortable, but it prevents us from truly moving forward in life. It makes it difficult to heal and grow because we are anchored to things that no longer serve us. Letting go allows us to free ourselves from the emotional burdens that have been holding us back. Letting go is not about giving up. It's about finding freedom. It's about recognizing that we don't need to carry around everything that's happened to us in the past, nor do we need to keep holding on to things that prevent us from reaching our full potential. By releasing these emotional attachments, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, fresh experiences, and the ability to grow. Letting go isn't a sign of weakness, quite the opposite. It's a sign of incredible strength and wisdom. It takes courage to let go of things or people who have been a part of our lives, especially when they've caused us pain or disappointment. But in letting go, we make space for something much better: peace, joy, and the freedom to live authentically. It's about acknowledging that, to move forward and experience true happiness, we must be willing to release the things that are holding us back. When we let go, we begin the process of healing and transforming into the person we are meant to be. Chapter 2. The Root of Attachment and Its Effects. We all form attachments in life, whether to people, possessions, experiences, or even ideas. These attachments can be natural and even comforting, but they can also have a deep impact on our emotional and mental well-being. In this chapter, we explore the root of attachment and its effects, both positive and negative, on our lives. At the core of attachment is the need for connection and security. We form bonds to things and people because they provide us with a sense of stability and identity. However, over time, these attachments can become unhealthy. When we start to rely too heavily on these external sources for our sense of happiness, self-worth, or purpose, we become vulnerable to the fear of losing them. This fear keeps us stuck in a cycle of holding on, even when these attachments are no longer beneficial to our growth or happiness. The problem with attachment is that it often ties our happiness to things beyond our control. We become so focused on preserving these connections that we can lose sight of our inner peace. This leads to anxiety, stress, and frustration because we're constantly worried about the future or caught up in the past. We may struggle to let go, believing that without these attachments, we won't be complete or happy. The truth is, attachments often trap us in a false sense of security, preventing us from discovering the true happiness that lies within. The author explains how attachment can cloud our judgment and distort our view of ourselves and the world around us. By understanding the psychological roots of attachment, we gain insight into why we hold on so tightly and what's driving this behavior. The author also explores how attachment can affect our relationships, career, and even our sense of self. The more we cling to things or people, the more we give up our power to external forces. But it's not all negative. Understanding attachment is the first step toward breaking free from it. By recognizing the ways in which attachment controls us, we can begin to loosen its grip and reclaim our personal freedom. The key to releasing attachment is to cultivate an internal sense of security and self-worth, one that doesn't rely on external validation or possessions. When we let go of unhealthy attachments, we free ourselves to live with greater joy, authenticity, and resilience. Chapter 2. The Root of Attachment and Its Effects. We all form attachments in life, whether to people, possessions, experiences, or even ideas. These attachments can be natural and even comforting, but they can also have a deep impact on our emotional and mental well-being. At the core of attachment is the need for connection and security. We form bonds to things and people because they provide us with a sense of stability and identity. However, over time, these attachments can become unhealthy. When we start to rely too heavily on these external sources for our sense of happiness, self-worth, or purpose, we become vulnerable to the fear of losing them. This fear keeps us stuck in a cycle of holding on, even when these attachments are no longer beneficial to our growth or happiness. The problem with attachment is that it often ties our happiness to things beyond our control. We become so focused on preserving these connections that we can lose sight of our inner peace. This leads to anxiety, stress, and frustration because we're constantly worried about the future or caught up in the past. We may struggle to let go, believing that without these attachments, we won't be complete or happy. The truth is, attachments often trap us in a false sense of security, preventing us from discovering the true happiness that lies within. Understanding attachment is the first step toward breaking free from it. By recognizing the ways in which attachment controls us, we can begin to loosen its grip and reclaim our personal freedom. The key to releasing attachment is to cultivate an internal sense of security and self-worth, one that doesn't rely on external validation or possessions. When we let go of unhealthy attachments, we free ourselves to live with greater joy, authenticity, and resilience. Chapter 3. Releasing negative emotions and resentments. Negative emotions like anger, guilt, and resentment can weigh heavily on our hearts and minds, often lingering far longer than they should. These emotions, if left unchecked, can grow like a poison inside us, affecting not only our mental well-being, but also our physical health and our relationships with others. In this chapter, we dive into the process of releasing these harmful emotions and the freedom that comes with letting them go. The first step in releasing negative emotions is to acknowledge them. Many of us avoid or suppress our emotions because they feel uncomfortable or overwhelming, but ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. Instead, they stay buried, festering in our subconscious, and can manifest in ways we don't expect. By acknowledging how we truly feel, whether it's anger, regret, or frustration, we begin the process of healing. When we stop running from these emotions, we can start to understand their roots and how they've been affecting our lives. Guilt and resentment, in particular, are two emotions that can be especially hard to let go of. Guilt often comes from feeling responsible for something we did or didn't do, and resentment builds when we feel wronged or hurt by others. These emotions can trap us in the past, making it impossible to fully enjoy the present moment or move forward in life. In this chapter, the author walks us through the process of forgiveness, both of others and ourselves. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning wrong behavior, but it means releasing the emotional weight that holds us captive. When we forgive, we let go of the past and reclaim our peace. Releasing negative emotions also involves practicing self-compassion. We can be our own worst critics, holding on to shame or guilt for mistakes we've made, but being kind to ourselves is essential for emotional healing. By showing ourselves the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a loved one, we can begin to release the harsh self-judgments that keep us stuck in negativity. The author also introduces practical techniques such as mindfulness and meditation to help us process and release negative emotions in a healthy way. By learning to be present with our feelings without becoming overwhelmed by them, we create space for emotional release. These practices help us gain clarity and perspective, enabling us to let go of the emotional baggage we've been carrying and find peace. Releasing negative emotions is about reclaiming control over our own happiness. By letting go of the things that weigh us down, we create space for joy, gratitude, and emotional freedom. This chapter encourages us to stop holding on to resentment and guilt and to choose to release them, making room for healing, growth, and the freedom to live a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Chapter 4. The Art of Forgiveness, Letting Go of Grudges. Forgiveness is one of the most profound and liberating acts of letting go. It's often misunderstood. Many people think forgiveness is about excusing or forgetting someone's hurtful actions, but true forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that keep you tied to the past. It's not about condoning or excusing someone else's behavior. It's about releasing the hold that anger, resentment, or hurt has over your mind and heart. In this chapter, we explore the power of forgiveness and how it allows us to heal and move forward. Grudges can consume us, often without us realizing it. Holding on to anger or resentment may seem like a way to protect ourselves from further harm, but in reality, it only harms us more. When we hold on to grudges, we give away our power. We allow the person or situation that hurt us to continue to control our emotions and, by extension, our lives. Holding a grudge can prevent us from experiencing the freedom and peace that forgiveness offers. Forgiveness begins with acknowledging the pain that has been caused. It's important to recognize that you've been hurt, whether by a person's actions or by your own choices. This acknowledgement is the first step in the process of healing. Once you accept that hurt has occurred, you can then begin to choose forgiveness. But this is a conscious decision. It requires releasing the need for justice, revenge, or punishment. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior. It's about letting go of the negative emotions that keep you stuck in the past. By choosing to forgive, you take back control over your emotions and your life. You stop letting the past dictate your present and future. Forgiveness isn't always easy, especially when the hurt runs deep, but it is a crucial step in the process of healing. It is a gift you give yourself, not the person who caused the pain. This chapter also delves into the concept of self-forgiveness. Often we are hardest on ourselves when it comes to mistakes and wrongdoings. We may carry guilt or shame for things we've done or failed to do, but carrying this burden prevents us from moving forward. Self-forgiveness is a powerful tool that allows us to let go of guilt and self-blame. By forgiving ourselves, we can free ourselves from the past and create space for personal growth and healing. These include journaling, meditating on compassion, and practicing mindfulness. These techniques help to reframe the way we see the situation, allowing us to approach forgiveness with an open heart and mind. Forgiveness is not something that happens overnight, but with time and practice, it becomes easier. The act of forgiveness leads to freedom. It allows us to release the emotional burdens that hold us captive and prevents us from growing emotionally stagnant. Forgiveness is an essential part of letting go, and when we embrace it, we unlock the door to a life filled with peace, joy, and emotional freedom. This chapter encourages us to look inward, release old grudges, and choose forgiveness, not for anyone else, but for ourselves. Through forgiveness, we take back control of our emotional well-being and create the space to live a life free from the chains of the past. Chapter 4. The Art of Forgiveness, Letting Go of Grudges. Forgiveness is often seen as one of the most powerful and transformative acts of letting go. Yet it is commonly misunderstood. Many believe that to forgive is to excuse or forget the wrongs that have been done to us. But true forgiveness is not about absolving someone else of responsibility. It is about releasing the emotional chains that tie us to pain and resentment and freeing ourselves from the hold that anger, bitterness, or hurt has over our lives. In this chapter, we explore the profound impact of forgiveness, how to practice it, and how it leads to emotional freedom and healing. At the heart of forgiveness is the realization that holding on to grudges only keeps us anchored to the past. The pain we carry, whether it's from someone else's actions or our own mistakes, can rob us of our peace and joy. When we hold on to grudges, we essentially allow the wrongdoer or the situation to continue affecting us, even though the event is in the past. This emotional baggage can color our interactions with others, affect our sense of self-worth, and prevent us from experiencing the fullness of life. Forgiveness begins with acknowledging the hurt. This is a critical step, because you cannot forgive something you haven't fully recognized or processed. It's important to give yourself permission to feel the pain, anger, sadness, or betrayal you may have experienced. Denying these emotions only pushes them deeper, where they can fester and create more harm in the long run. Acknowledging the pain allows you to validate your experience, giving yourself the space to heal. Once you've acknowledged the hurt, the next step is making the decision to forgive, not for the person who wronged you, but for yourself. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior or pretending that what happened didn't matter. It's about releasing the power that the situation has over you. By holding on to resentment, you allow the negative emotions associated with the hurt to keep influencing your present and future. Forgiveness, in essence, is about taking back control of your emotions and your life. It's about choosing not to let the past dictate your peace today. The author emphasizes that forgiveness doesn't mean you forget what happened, nor does it mean that you allow the person who wronged you to walk all over you. It simply means you are no longer going to carry the weight of the anger, hurt, or resentment. Letting go of those feelings makes room for healing, peace, and a fresh perspective. Forgiveness, therefore, is a gift you give to yourself, not to the person who caused the pain. But forgiveness is not always easy, especially when the wounds are deep or the betrayal is great. The author walks us through several steps to make this process easier. The first step is to start with compassion. It is important to remember that every person, including ourselves, is flawed and makes mistakes. Often those who hurt us are acting from their own pain, fears, or insecurities. While this doesn't excuse their behavior, it helps us to view the situation with greater understanding and empathy. Recognizing that everyone is human and that we too have made mistakes can help soften the bitterness we feel and make it easier to forgive. Self-forgiveness is another key aspect of this chapter. Many people struggle with forgiving themselves, especially when they believe they have caused pain to others. Guilt, shame, and regret can weigh heavily on us, keeping us trapped in the past. But holding on to these emotions is a form of self-punishment, and it prevents us from moving forward. The author explains that in order to truly forgive ourselves, we must first recognize that we are not defined by our mistakes. We are all deserving of compassion, and self-forgiveness allows us to release the negative self-judgment that holds us back. In addition to compassion and self-forgiveness, the author provides practical tools to help facilitate the forgiveness process. Journaling is one powerful technique. Writing down your thoughts and emotions allows you to process them in a healthy way. Reflecting on your feelings in writing can help you uncover the deeper reasons behind your anger or resentment and provide clarity on what you need to let go of. Meditation and mindfulness practices are also valuable in this process, as they help you stay present with your emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. These techniques allow you to create mental space to reflect, process, and ultimately release negative emotions. Forgiveness is the concept of reframing. This involves looking at the situation from a new perspective, one that helps you understand it in a more balanced and constructive way. For example, you may realize that the person who wronged you was also suffering in their own way, or that the event has taught you valuable lessons that have contributed to your growth. Reframing doesn't mean you condone the behavior, but it helps you move beyond it with a sense of understanding and acceptance. It's important to be patient with yourself. Some wounds heal quickly, while others take years, but with consistent effort, the burden of unforgiveness can be lifted, allowing you to move forward with peace. Forgiveness is about freedom. It frees you from the emotional weight of the past and allows you to embrace the present with a lighter heart. By forgiving others and yourself, you release the negative emotions that keep you anchored to pain and resentment. This process is an essential part of letting go, and it is the gateway to emotional healing and peace. The author encourages you to choose forgiveness not because it's easy, but because it is the key to reclaiming your inner peace and allowing joy to flow freely into your life. Chapter 5. Detaching from expectations and control. We often find ourselves frustrated or disappointed because life didn't unfold exactly as we imagined it would. We set expectations for how things should be, how people should act, and how events should unfold, only to watch them not meet those standards. This attachment to expectations and the need to control outcomes can lead to stress, anxiety, and a sense of helplessness. In this chapter, we explore the importance of letting go of rigid expectations and the need to control every aspect of our lives. By learning to detach from these things, we can live with more peace and greater freedom. Expectations are built on the idea that life should unfold in a particular way, according to a set of rules or standards that we've created in our minds. When things go as we expect, we feel content and in control, but when they don't, we often feel disappointed, frustrated, or even angry. The problem with this is that life is inherently unpredictable. It's full of twists, turns, and surprises that often defy our expectations. When we rigidly hold on to how things should be, we miss out on the beauty and spontaneity of life itself. The need to control everything, whether it's the actions of others, the outcomes of situations, or even our own emotions, can be a major source of stress. It often comes from a deep fear of uncertainty or discomfort. We believe that by controlling the situation, we can ensure that things will turn out the way we want them to. But the truth is, the more we try to control things outside of ourselves, the more stressed and overwhelmed we become. Control is an illusion, and it creates a false sense of security. In fact, it can lead to even more anxiety because we are constantly trying to manage every aspect of our lives, which is an impossible task. In this chapter, the author guides us in understanding that detaching from expectations and control doesn't mean we stop caring about our goals or desires. Rather, it means we shift our focus from a rigid, outcomes-driven mindset to a more flexible, process-oriented one. Instead of focusing solely on how things should turn out, we learn to appreciate the journey itself, regardless of the outcome. This shift in perspective allows us to enjoy life as it unfolds without the constant pressure of perfectionism. The author explains that releasing the need for control and letting go of expectations allows us to embrace uncertainty and trust in the natural flow of life. Life is unpredictable, and we cannot control every detail. By letting go of our tight grip on the outcome, we free ourselves to experience new opportunities and find joy in the present moment. When we let go of expectations, we make space for life's surprises and unexpected gifts, which often turn out to be better than anything we could have planned. Detaching from control and expectations also means learning to accept things as they are, rather than trying to force them into our preconceived notions. Acceptance doesn't mean complacency or passivity. It means acknowledging what is and finding peace with it. The author shares that, by practicing acceptance, we can reduce feelings of frustration and resistance. We learn to navigate life with greater ease, knowing that we are not in control of everything, and that's okay. Life has a way of unfolding perfectly on its own, even if it doesn't follow the script we've written for it. Another important aspect of detachment is learning to let go of the need to control others. Many of us try to shape the behavior of the people around us, whether it's family members, friends, or colleagues, because we believe that by doing so, we will feel more secure or validated. But trying to control others is not only unfair to them, it also drains us emotionally. The author teaches that when we stop trying to control others, we allow them the space to be themselves, and in turn, we create more harmonious and authentic relationships. The author also explores how our internal need for control often stems from a fear of vulnerability. We fear that if we let go, we will lose control of our lives or become exposed to failure, criticism, or hurt. But in reality, the more we try to control, the more we close ourselves off from the flow of life. We shut ourselves off from new experiences, growth, and the joy that comes from embracing uncertainty. Letting go of the need to control doesn't make us weak. It makes us stronger and more resilient. It allows us to live with an open heart, trusting that whatever happens will unfold in a way that is meant for our highest good. The practice of detaching from expectations and control is not something that happens overnight. It requires patience, self-awareness, and consistent effort. But the benefits are profound. When we let go of the need for rigid control, we stop being ruled by fear and resistance, and instead, we open ourselves to the freedom and joy that come from living authentically. These include mindfulness practices, breathing exercises, and reframing negative thoughts. The author also encourages us to reflect on the areas of our lives where we're trying too hard to control outcomes and gently begin to let go of those attachments. It's a process, but every step we take toward letting go brings us closer to living a life of peace, freedom, and acceptance. When we learn to detach from expectations and control, we stop fighting against the flow of life. Instead, we align with it, allowing it to carry us to places we may not have even imagined. This chapter encourages us to embrace life as it is, with all of its uncertainties, and trust that we are exactly where we need to be. By releasing the need to control every detail, we make space for life to unfold in its own beautiful, unexpected way. Chapter 6. Embracing the present moment. The present moment is all we truly have. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. Yet, so often we are either dwelling on past regrets or anxiously anticipating what lies ahead, missing the richness of the here and now. In this chapter, we explore the profound importance of embracing the present moment and how doing so can bring us true peace, joy, and contentment. When we fully engage with the present, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of worry and distraction that holds us back from living our best lives. One of the main reasons we struggle with living in the present moment is because our minds tend to wander. We replay past events over and over in our minds, wondering what we could have done differently or wishing we had acted differently. Or we get caught up in what might happen in the future, what challenges we may face, what risks we might take, or what opportunities might come our way. While thinking about the past or the future isn't inherently bad, when it becomes habitual, it takes us out of the present and prevents us from truly experiencing life as it is. The author explains that when we focus too much on the past or the future, we lose touch with the beauty and possibilities of the present. We become detached from what's right in front of us, missing out on the small moments that make life truly meaningful. Every moment, no matter how ordinary it may seem, contains potential for growth, joy, and connection. When we fully embrace the present, we are more attuned to the sights, sounds, and feelings that surround us, leading to a deeper appreciation of life. Embracing the present moment means letting go of the need to control or anticipate what comes next. It means surrendering to the flow of life, allowing ourselves to fully experience each moment without trying to manipulate or alter it. This does not mean that we stop setting goals or planning for the future. It simply means that we learn to be at peace with whatever is happening right now. We stop waiting for the perfect moment to enjoy life, and instead, we realize that every moment is perfect in its own way. One of the most powerful practices for embracing the present is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present and engaged in whatever we are doing, without judgment or distraction. It involves focusing on our breath, the sensations in our body, and the environment around us. The author walks us through the practice of mindfulness, explaining how it helps us develop a heightened awareness of the present moment. When we are mindful, we can appreciate the beauty in simple things: a cup of coffee, the sound of birds singing, the warmth of the sun on our face. Mindfulness also helps us become more aware of our thoughts and emotions. By observing them without getting caught up in them, we create distance from the constant stream of mental chatter that often distracts us. This allows us to experience the present moment with greater clarity and calm. The author suggests incorporating mindfulness into daily activities, such as eating, walking, or even washing the dishes. By doing so, we train our minds to stay focused on the task at hand, instead of getting lost in past regrets or future worries. Another key element of embracing the present is practicing gratitude. When we focus on what we are grateful for in the here and now, we shift our mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. Gratitude helps us appreciate the richness of our current circumstances rather than constantly striving for something better or different. The author encourages us to keep a gratitude journal where we can write down 3 things we are thankful for each day. This simple practice can transform our outlook on life, helping us stay grounded in the present moment and cultivate a positive, appreciative mindset. The act of truly living in the present also involves letting go of judgment. When we judge ourselves or others, we create mental barriers that separate us from the moment. We focus on what's right or wrong, what's good or bad, and we miss the beauty of simply being. By releasing judgment, we allow ourselves to experience life as it is, without attaching labels or expectations. This opens us up to new experiences, relationships, and opportunities, as we no longer hold ourselves or others to rigid standards. Instead, we accept what comes, knowing that each experience, whether perceived as positive or negative, has something valuable to teach us. The author also addresses the challenge of living in a world that is constantly pulling us in different directions. In today's fast-paced, technology-driven society, we are often bombarded with distractions that keep us from being present. Social media, work emails, notifications, all of these things can steal our attention and take us out of the moment. The key is to become more mindful of these distractions and set boundaries around them. The author suggests creating sacred moments throughout the day where we disconnect from external noise and reconnect with ourselves. This could be as simple as taking a walk without your phone, meditating for a few minutes, or sitting quietly with a cup of tea. These moments allow us to return to the present and recharge. Embracing the present moment also means letting go of the pressure to be productive all the time. In a world that often equates busyness with success, it's easy to feel guilty about taking time for ourselves or simply enjoying the moment. However, true productivity comes from being present and focused on what truly matters. The author encourages us to let go of the notion that we must always be doing something to be valuable, and instead embrace the beauty of being. The benefits of embracing the present moment are profound. When we live in the present, we reduce stress and anxiety, increase our sense of well-being, and develop deeper, more meaningful connections with others. We find joy in the simple moments, and we are more resilient in the face of challenges. By accepting life as it is, we free ourselves from the constant striving for something more and allow ourselves to experience the fullness of what we already have. Embracing the present moment is about learning to be fully alive in every breath, every interaction, and every experience. It's about letting go of the need to constantly control or anticipate, and instead trusting that life is unfolding exactly as it should. The author encourages us to be present, to savor the beauty of now, and to let go of the distractions and worries that pull us away from the richness of life. By embracing the present, we unlock the door to greater peace, fulfillment, and joy. Chapter 7. Creating Space for New Beginnings. Letting go is not just about releasing what no longer serves us. It's also about creating space for new beginnings. When we clear out the clutter, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, we open ourselves to new opportunities, fresh experiences, and growth. In this chapter, we explore how letting go creates the necessary room for transformation and how embracing new beginnings can be one of the most empowering choices we make in our lives. The process of letting go can be seen as a cleansing act. It's as if we are clearing the proverbial clutter from our lives, not just to make room for new things, but to make room for new possibilities. Often we hold on to old beliefs, outdated habits, and even relationships that no longer align with who we are or who we are becoming. These attachments keep us anchored to the past, limiting our potential and preventing us from stepping into the next chapter of our lives. The author explains that by letting go, we release the grip of the past on our present and future. This doesn't mean erasing the past or forgetting what we've experienced, but it does mean not allowing the past to dictate how we live today or how we approach tomorrow. When we choose to release old patterns, grudges, or limiting beliefs, we create a space where new opportunities can flow freely. We stop holding on to the idea of how things should have been, and instead, we begin to open ourselves up to how they could be. The act of creating space for new beginnings is about allowing yourself the freedom to start fresh. It's about shedding the weight of old stories and stepping into a new version of yourself, one that is more aligned with your true desires, your dreams, and your goals. But starting fresh doesn't mean throwing everything away. It's about being intentional in what you choose to bring into your life moving forward. What do you want to cultivate? What do you want to nurture? By letting go of what no longer fits, you can make room for what truly serves you and aligns with your higher purpose. The author also discusses the importance of embracing change as a natural part of life. Change can feel uncomfortable, even frightening, because it involves stepping into the unknown. But change is an essential part of personal growth. The author reminds us that life is constantly in flux, and resisting change only keeps us stuck in patterns that no longer support our evolution. When we embrace change with open arms, we allow ourselves to grow, learn, and become the person we are meant to be. Creating space for new beginnings is not just about letting go, it's about welcoming change with an open heart. Creating space also requires an element of trust. When we let go of something, whether it's a job, a relationship, or an old belief, we are essentially taking a leap of faith. We trust that by releasing it, we are making room for something better to come into our lives. This trust is key to moving forward, because without it, we may hold on out of fear of the unknown. The author emphasizes that trust in the process of letting go is crucial to creating space for what's next. When we trust that new opportunities will come, we can approach change with excitement rather than resistance. As we begin to let go, the author suggests that we reflect on the things we've been holding on to that no longer align with our values or dreams. This could include unhealthy relationships, a job that drains us, or even limiting beliefs about ourselves. By acknowledging these attachments, we can begin to release them consciously and purposefully. It's not always easy, but with each release we create more space for new beginnings to emerge. The author encourages us to view letting go not as a loss, but as an act of self-care and empowerment. In addition to emotional and mental releases, creating space for new beginnings also includes physical decluttering. Our physical environment can have a profound effect on our state of mind. When our space is cluttered and disorganized, it can mirror our internal chaos and make it harder to think clearly or make decisions. The author advocates for simplifying and clearing out the unnecessary items that take up space in our homes, offices, and even our minds. A clutter-free environment can lead to a clearer, more focused mindset, making it easier to embrace new opportunities. Another powerful aspect of creating space for new beginnings is the ability to visualize the future we desire. Once we've let go of what no longer serves us, we can begin to consciously create the life we want. The author encourages us to take time to imagine the possibilities. What does your ideal life look like? What are your dreams, passions, and goals? By visualizing this new beginning, we set the intention to move toward it with purpose and clarity. The process of letting go clears the mental and emotional blockages, allowing us to focus more fully on what we want to create. The author also explores the concept of rebirth. Just as nature has seasons of growth, decay, and renewal, we too go through cycles of transformation in our lives. Letting go is often the first step in this renewal process. It's like planting new seeds in fertile soil after the old plants have withered. These new seeds represent our dreams, desires, and the version of ourselves that we are becoming. As we let go, we create fertile ground for these new seeds to grow and flourish. Creating space for new beginnings is a conscious, deliberate act that requires courage, trust, and openness. It is not always easy to release the past, especially when it has been a part of us for so long, but the rewards are immeasurable. By letting go of what no longer serves us, we open ourselves to greater freedom, joy, and fulfillment. The author encourages us to see the process of letting go as an opportunity to reinvent ourselves, to embrace new possibilities, and to step boldly into the future. With each release, we create the space for something new and beautiful to enter our lives, something that will help us grow, evolve, and become the best version of ourselves. Creating space for new beginnings is about embracing the infinite possibilities that life offers. It's about recognizing that by letting go of the past, we are making room for a brighter, more aligned future. The act of letting go is not an end, but a beginning, a new chapter in the ongoing journey of personal growth and transformation. By clearing the path ahead, we allow ourselves to walk with confidence, knowing that the best is yet to come. Chapter 8. The Power of Patience and Trust in the Process. Letting go is often seen as a process, not an event. It takes time, effort, and, most importantly, patience. We live in a world that constantly urges us to act quickly, make fast decisions, and find instant solutions to our problems. However, when it comes to letting go, the journey is rarely immediate. In this chapter, we explore the transformative power of patience and how trusting the process can bring us closer to the peace and clarity we seek. The process of letting go is unique for everyone, and it doesn't follow a set timeline. Some things may take days or weeks to release, while other attachments may take years. The author emphasizes that there is no right or wrong pace when it comes to personal growth. What is important is that we give ourselves the space and time to fully experience the process without rushing through it. Trying to force ourselves to let go before we are ready can lead to frustration, confusion, and even more emotional pain. The key to true letting go is allowing it to happen naturally, in its own time. Patience, in this context, is not about passivity or waiting for something to change on its own. It is about actively allowing the process of release to unfold without resistance. It's about trusting that, even though it may take time, the act of letting go is leading us toward something greater. The author shares that by cultivating patience, we learn to embrace the uncertainty that comes with change and surrender to the flow of life. The practice of patience requires us to confront our impatience, which is often driven by our fear of the unknown. We live in a society that prioritizes speed, efficiency, and immediate results. But when we try to rush through the process of letting go, we only prolong our suffering. In this chapter, the author encourages us to shift our mindset from one of urgency to one of acceptance. Instead of demanding immediate results, we are invited to trust that the process will unfold at the right time and in the right way. Letting go is a gradual unfolding, not a sudden shift, and the patience we practice during this journey allows us to be more present with ourselves and the process. Trusting the process is another essential aspect of this chapter. It's easy to feel uncertain or anxious when we're in the midst of change, especially when we don't see immediate results. We may wonder if we're doing the right thing or if we're ever going to fully let go of the emotional burdens we carry. The author reassures us that even when the path feels unclear, it is still unfolding in the right direction. Trusting the process means having faith that we are exactly where we need to be, even if we can't yet see the outcome. One of the key elements of trusting the process is self-compassion. The journey of letting go can be difficult, and we may experience setbacks along the way. It's easy to become discouraged when progress feels slow, but the author reminds us that growth is not always linear. There will be moments of breakthrough and moments of struggle, but all of these are part of the process. Self-compassion allows us to be gentle with ourselves during times of difficulty, reminding us that it's okay to not have everything figured out immediately. When we show ourselves kindness and understanding, we reduce the pressure and give ourselves the space we need to heal. In this chapter, the author also emphasizes the importance of self-awareness. The more aware we are of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, the better we can understand what we need to release and why. Self-awareness allows us to identify patterns of resistance or fear that may be hindering our progress. By observing these patterns without judgment, we can begin to detach from them and move forward with greater clarity and confidence. Trusting ourselves and the process goes hand in hand with this awareness, as we recognize that we have everything we need within us to navigate this journey. Patience and trust also allow us to honor the timing of our life. Life has a natural rhythm, and sometimes we may feel that things are moving too slowly or that we are not progressing fast enough. But the author reminds us that everything has its own timing. Trusting in the natural course of events helps us to release the need for control and accept what is happening, knowing that it is leading us toward greater healing and growth. Whether it's a career change, a relationship shift, or an internal transformation, everything will unfold as it is meant to. A key takeaway from this chapter is that letting go is not just about releasing things externally, but also about releasing internal pressure. We often put pressure on ourselves to fix everything at once or to get over emotional struggles quickly. This pressure only adds to the burden and makes it harder to truly let go. Patience teaches us that healing takes time, and it's okay to take things one step at a time. By allowing ourselves the time to process, reflect, and grow, we can trust that the changes we seek will come naturally and with grace. Throughout this chapter, the author encourages us to develop a mindset that embraces the journey rather than focusing solely on the destination. It's easy to become fixated on an end goal, but when we focus too much on the outcome, we miss the opportunities for growth that arise along the way. The process of letting go, when approached with patience and trust, becomes an enriching and enlightening experience, one that teaches us about ourselves, our resilience, and our capacity for change. The chapter closes with a powerful reminder: trust yourself, trust the process, and trust that every step you take, no matter how small, is leading you closer to the peace and happiness you desire. By practicing patience and embracing the natural rhythm of life, we allow ourselves the time and space to fully let go and step into a future that is full of possibility, freedom, and joy. Chapter 9. The freedom of letting go of perfection. Perfectionism is one of the greatest obstacles to true peace and happiness. Many of us strive for perfection in various aspects of our lives, whether it's in our careers, relationships, or even our own personal image. The desire to do everything flawlessly can be overwhelming, and when we fail to meet these high standards, we often experience frustration, self-criticism, and a sense of defeat. In this chapter, we explore how letting go of perfectionism can lead to true freedom, allowing us to live more fully, embrace our imperfections, and experience life in a way that is more aligned with our true selves. At the root of perfectionism is the belief that we are not enough as we are. We feel that in order to be worthy of love, success, or acceptance, we must meet certain standards of flawlessness. This belief can stem from childhood experiences, societal pressures, or our own internal fears and doubts. We may hold ourselves to impossibly high expectations, thinking that if we can just get everything right, we'll finally feel content and fulfilled. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. No one can be perfect all the time, and the pursuit of perfection only leads to stress, anxiety, and a lack of self-acceptance. In this chapter, the author explains that perfectionism is a form of self-sabotage. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of striving for something that is unattainable, often preventing us from fully enjoying life or recognizing the beauty in our efforts. Perfectionism creates unrealistic standards that we constantly fail to meet, leading to feelings of inadequacy and frustration. Instead of celebrating our accomplishments and progress, we focus on what we didn't do perfectly, which undermines our sense of self-worth. Letting go of perfectionism is about embracing our humanity. It's about accepting that we are imperfect, and that's okay. The author emphasizes that our imperfections are not flaws to be ashamed of, but rather they are part of what makes us unique and beautiful. When we let go of the need to be perfect, we free ourselves from the unrealistic pressure that perfectionism imposes. This allows us to experience life more authentically, with all its messiness, unpredictability, and beauty. The chapter provides a shift in perspective. Rather than seeing imperfection as something to avoid or fix, we begin to see it as a source of strength. Our mistakes and failures offer valuable lessons that help us grow and learn. They shape who we are and contribute to the richness of our lives. When we release the desire for perfection, we stop fearing failure and start seeing it as an essential part of the journey. It's through our mistakes that we gain wisdom and resilience, and we can appreciate the process of growth rather than just focusing on the end result. The author also discusses how perfectionism can hinder creativity and personal expression. When we are constantly worried about getting everything right, we limit ourselves from exploring new ideas or taking risks. Perfectionism stifles creativity because it forces us to stick to what is familiar and safe, rather than allowing ourselves to experiment, make mistakes, and discover new possibilities. By letting go of the need to be perfect, we open ourselves to creative expression and innovative thinking. We learn to trust our intuition and take bold steps toward new experiences without the fear of making mistakes. Another significant aspect of letting go of perfection is learning to be kinder to ourselves. Perfectionism often leads to harsh self-criticism. We focus on our perceived shortcomings and constantly compare ourselves to others, believing that we are not good enough. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of self-compassion. When we let go of perfection, we stop holding ourselves to impossible standards and start treating ourselves with kindness and understanding. We embrace our flaws and acknowledge that we are doing the best we can, just like everyone else. This shift in attitude helps us develop a healthier relationship with ourselves and cultivates a sense of inner peace. The author also discusses how perfectionism can negatively affect our relationships with others. When we strive for perfection, we may expect others to meet the same high standards, which can create tension and disappointment. We may become frustrated when others don't live up to our expectations, and this can damage our connections with them. Letting go of perfectionism allows us to be more understanding and accepting of others' imperfections as well. It creates space for more genuine and compassionate relationships, where we can appreciate each other for who we are, not for who we think we should be. A key component of letting go of perfectionism is learning to accept and embrace progress, not perfection. The author encourages us to celebrate the small victories along the way, rather than waiting for the elusive moment when everything is perfect. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a success. When we focus on progress instead of perfection, we experience greater satisfaction and fulfillment. We also become more resilient, as we are able to bounce back from setbacks and continue moving forward without being paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. The chapter concludes with a powerful reminder that letting go of perfectionism is not about lowering standards or giving up on our goals. It's about releasing the unrealistic pressure we place on ourselves and learning to appreciate the journey, imperfections and all. By letting go of perfection, we create space for self-acceptance, creativity, and authentic connections with others. We stop striving for an unattainable ideal and begin to embrace the beauty in our imperfections. In doing so, we unlock the freedom to live a more fulfilling, joyful, and meaningful life. Ultimately, letting go of perfectionism is an act of self-love. It's about choosing to be kind to ourselves, to celebrate our progress, and to trust that we are enough just as we are. The pursuit of perfection may never bring the happiness and fulfillment we seek, but by letting go of this ideal, we open ourselves to the fullness of life, where we can truly experience joy, peace, and freedom. Chapter 10. Living with Intention. The power of purposeful action. Living a life with intention means living consciously, with a clear sense of direction and purpose. It's about making deliberate choices that align with our values, desires, and the person we want to become. In a world that constantly pulls us in various directions, through distractions, societal pressures, or the demands of others, it can be easy to lose sight of what truly matters to us. In this chapter, we explore the transformative power of living with intention and how purposeful action can lead to a life of fulfillment, meaning, and lasting happiness. At its core, living with intention is about taking responsibility for our lives. It means recognizing that we are the creators of our own experiences and that the choices we make today shape our future. The author explains that living intentionally is not about following a rigid, predetermined path, but about consciously choosing our direction in each moment. When we act with purpose, we become more aligned with our deepest desires and values, and we start to live life on our own terms, rather than reacting to the demands of others or going along with the flow. One of the first steps in living with intention is gaining clarity about what we truly want. In a world that constantly bombards us with messages about success, happiness, and fulfillment, it can be difficult to distinguish what we genuinely desire from what others expect of us. The author encourages us to take time to reflect on our values, passions, and goals. What brings us joy? What are we deeply passionate about? What do we want to contribute to the world? By clarifying these aspects of our lives, we create a roadmap that guides our decisions and actions. Living intentionally also requires us to examine the habits and routines that shape our daily lives. Many of us go through the motions of life on autopilot, repeating the same actions without ever questioning whether they align with our goals. The author challenges us to become more mindful of how we spend our time and energy. Are we investing our resources in the things that truly matter to us? Are our daily habits helping us move toward the life we want to create, or are we simply responding to external demands? By bringing awareness to our daily actions, we can begin to make intentional choices that support our goals and aspirations. Purposeful action is key to living with intention. While it's important to have a clear vision of what we want, it's equally important to take consistent steps toward making that vision a reality. The author stresses that intention without action is simply a dream, and action without intention can feel aimless and unfulfilling. Purposeful action requires us to set specific, achievable goals and to break them down into smaller, manageable steps. Every action we take, no matter how small, moves us closer to the life we desire. The author explains that living with intention doesn't mean we have to have everything figured out. In fact, sometimes the journey itself is more important than the destination. It's about staying present and engaged in each moment while keeping our larger vision in mind. By making deliberate choices in alignment with our values, we begin to see the bigger picture unfold naturally. Living intentionally also means giving ourselves permission to make mistakes and learn along the way. We don't have to be perfect. We simply need to stay committed to living with purpose. Another key element of intentional living is setting boundaries. In order to live a life that is aligned with our values, we must be able to say no to things that drain our energy or distract us from our goals. The author discusses how difficult it can be to set boundaries, especially when we are concerned about other people's expectations or opinions. However, living with intention requires us to prioritize our own well-being and goals above external pressures. By setting healthy boundaries, we protect our time and energy, ensuring that we can focus on what truly matters. Living intentionally also involves cultivating mindfulness in our actions. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, rushing from one task to the next, without taking a moment to reflect. Mindfulness encourages us to be fully present in each moment, paying attention to the details and finding meaning in everyday experiences. The author offers simple mindfulness techniques, such as taking deep breaths, pausing to appreciate our surroundings, or practicing gratitude throughout the day. These small moments of mindfulness can help us reconnect with our purpose and bring clarity to our actions. A powerful aspect of living with intention is the ability to align our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Often there is a disconnect between what we think we want, what we feel, and what we do. This misalignment can lead to inner conflict and dissatisfaction. The author explains that living intentionally means bringing all aspects of ourselves into harmony. When our thoughts, emotions, and actions are in alignment, we feel more centered and confident in our choices. We no longer feel pulled in multiple directions, but instead move forward with clarity and conviction. Living with intention also requires a deep sense of self-awareness. The author encourages us to regularly check in with ourselves to assess whether we are on the right path. Are we still connected to our values? Are we making progress toward our goals? Do our actions reflect the person we want to become? Self-awareness allows us to make adjustments along the way, ensuring that we stay aligned with our true desires and that we don't stray too far from our path. This ongoing reflection helps us stay grounded and purposeful, even in the face of challenges. The author also emphasizes the importance of patience and flexibility. Sometimes our intentions and plans may not unfold in the way we expect. Life can throw unexpected challenges our way, and things may take longer than we had anticipated. Living intentionally doesn't mean rigidly sticking to a plan. It means remaining open to the flow of life and being willing to adjust when necessary. Trusting the process and staying flexible allows us to navigate obstacles with grace and maintain our sense of purpose, even when things don't go as planned. Living with intention is a deeply transformative practice that can lead to profound changes in our lives. When we act with purpose, we stop drifting aimlessly and begin to create a life that is truly meaningful. The author encourages us to start small. Set one intentional goal, make one conscious decision, or incorporate one mindful habit into our daily routine. Each small step we take brings us closer to the life we want to create. Over time, these small actions will add up, and we'll begin to see the ripple effect of living intentionally in every area of our lives. Living with intention is about taking ownership of our lives and choosing to create the future we desire. It's about aligning our thoughts, feelings, and actions with our deepest values and taking purposeful steps toward our dreams. By living intentionally, we bring meaning to our everyday experiences, cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment, and create a life that truly reflects who we are and what we care about. Chapter 11. Embracing the Power of Vulnerability. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness or something to avoid. In a world that values strength, independence, and self-sufficiency, we are often taught to shield ourselves from emotional exposure to appear unshakable in the face of difficulty. But in reality, vulnerability is one of the most powerful and transformative forces we have. It is the gateway to deeper connections, personal growth, and authenticity. In this chapter, we explore the importance of embracing vulnerability and how allowing ourselves to be vulnerable can lead to greater intimacy with ourselves and others, as well as a deeper sense of freedom. Vulnerability means showing up as our true selves, without pretense or protection. It involves the willingness to be seen, to share our fears, our hopes, and our imperfections with the world, even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. The author emphasizes that vulnerability is not about weakness, but about courage. It takes great strength to allow ourselves to be fully exposed, to open ourselves up to the possibility of rejection, disappointment, or failure, and yet still choose to show up with an open heart. In doing so, we invite real connection and authenticity into our lives. Many of us fear vulnerability because we associate it with being judged or rejected. We may have experienced hurt in the past when we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable, and so we build walls around our emotions to protect ourselves. The author explains that these walls may provide temporary safety, but in the long run, they keep us isolated and disconnected. When we guard ourselves too much, we cut ourselves off from the very connections that bring us fulfillment and joy. By embracing vulnerability, we open ourselves to deeper relationships, richer experiences, and the kind of emotional freedom that only comes when we allow ourselves to be fully ourselves without fear of judgment. One of the key aspects of vulnerability is self-acceptance. When we are vulnerable, we stop pretending to be something we are not. We embrace our flaws, our mistakes, and our insecurities as part of our human experience. The author teaches that self-acceptance is the foundation of vulnerability. Only when we are able to accept ourselves as we are, imperfections, fears, and all, can we truly open up to others. By embracing our vulnerability, we let go of the need for perfection and allow ourselves to be more authentic and compassionate. We stop hiding parts of ourselves in shame, and instead, we bring our whole selves into the light. Vulnerability also plays a critical role in our relationships. We all long for meaningful, intimate connections with others, but these connections can only be built when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. When we open up about our emotions, our dreams, and our fears, we invite others to do the same. This creates a space for empathy, understanding, and genuine intimacy. The author highlights that vulnerability fosters trust and mutual respect, the two essential ingredients for any healthy relationship. When we are willing to be vulnerable, we create an environment where others feel safe to do the same, and this shared openness strengthens the bonds we share. The author also addresses the misconception that vulnerability is a sign of weakness, especially in the context of leadership or professional environments. Many of us feel the need to present a strong, flawless image in our careers, fearing that showing vulnerability will be seen as unprofessional or incompetent. However, the truth is that vulnerability is a sign of strength. Vulnerable leaders are able to connect with their teams on a deeper level, creating a culture of openness and trust. Vulnerability in the workplace can lead to increased collaboration, innovation, and problem-solving as people feel safe to express their ideas, ask for help, and share their challenges without fear of judgment. The author encourages us to practice vulnerability in small ways every day. This might involve expressing our true feelings to a loved one, admitting when we don't know something at work, or simply being honest about our struggles. Each time we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we build our emotional resilience and courage. Over time, vulnerability becomes a habit, and we begin to experience the immense freedom that comes with it. Instead of feeling weighed down by fear or shame, we start to feel lighter, more confident, and more at peace with who we are. The author also discusses how vulnerability is closely connected to creativity and self-expression. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we give ourselves permission to explore our passions, to try new things, and to express ourselves authentically. Creativity thrives when we are willing to take risks, to fail, and to put our true selves out into the world without fear of judgment. Vulnerability opens up space for innovation and growth, allowing us to pursue our dreams with courage and conviction. The fear of vulnerability often stems from a desire to control how others perceive us. We worry about being judged, misunderstood, or rejected, and so we hide parts of ourselves. But the author reminds us that vulnerability is not about seeking approval from others. It's about embracing ourselves fully, without condition. When we let go of the need to control how we are perceived, we free ourselves from the fear of rejection. We realize that the opinions of others do not define our worth, and that by embracing vulnerability, we can live more freely and authentically. The chapter concludes with an invitation to embrace vulnerability as a path to personal freedom. The more we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, the more we release the burden of trying to be something we are not. We no longer need to protect ourselves from the world because we recognize that vulnerability is the path to deeper connection, self-acceptance, and growth. We stop seeing vulnerability as a risk, and instead, we see it as an opportunity to live with more authenticity, courage, and joy. Embracing the power of vulnerability is a lifelong practice that requires courage, self-compassion, and trust. It is the gateway to living a life of greater meaning and connection. By opening ourselves up, by embracing our true selves, we invite deeper intimacy with others and with ourselves. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the key to unlocking our truest, most powerful selves. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we allow ourselves to truly live. Chapter 12. Cultivating Inner Peace Through Acceptance. In our fast-paced, often chaotic world, inner peace can seem like an elusive goal. We are constantly bombarded by external pressures, responsibilities, societal expectations, and the demands of others that can leave us feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from ourselves. In this chapter, we explore the transformative power of acceptance and how embracing the art of accepting both ourselves and our circumstances can cultivate lasting inner peace. By accepting life as it is, we free ourselves from the need to control every aspect of it, allowing us to find peace in the present moment. At the heart of cultivating inner peace is the practice of acceptance. Acceptance is not about resigning ourselves to situations that harm us, nor is it about giving up on our dreams. It's about coming to terms with reality as it is, without resistance. When we fight against reality, whether it's a difficult situation, a challenging emotion, or a painful memory, we create unnecessary stress and suffering. The more we resist, the more we suffer. Acceptance, on the other hand, involves acknowledging and embracing the present moment, however it unfolds, without judgment or the need to change it. The author explains that acceptance is a form of surrender, not to fate or circumstance, but to the understanding that we cannot control everything. This doesn't mean we stop trying to improve our lives or overcome challenges. It simply means that we stop fighting against what we cannot change and choose to accept what is. Acceptance is a powerful way to release the mental and emotional weight that comes from resistance. When we accept what is happening in our lives, we stop wasting energy on worry and frustration, and we begin to find peace within ourselves. A key aspect of acceptance is self-acceptance. So often, we are our harshest critics. We judge ourselves based on our perceived flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings. We strive for perfection, constantly seeking approval or validation from others, all while neglecting the importance of accepting ourselves as we are. The author emphasizes that self-acceptance is the foundation of inner peace. When we accept ourselves fully, our strengths, our weaknesses, our successes, and our failures, we release the need for external validation. We stop measuring our worth based on others' opinions, and instead, we recognize that we are inherently valuable just as we are. Self-acceptance requires compassion toward ourselves and toward others. When we are kind and understanding with ourselves, we allow room for growth and healing. The author encourages us to practice self-compassion in moments of difficulty or self-doubt. Instead of beating ourselves up over mistakes or setbacks, we can choose to speak to ourselves with kindness, just as we would to a close friend. This simple shift in perspective can have a profound impact on our emotional well-being, allowing us to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience and peace. Acceptance also involves letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives. Many of us try to micromanage our experiences, from the way our days unfold to the way people behave. We set rigid expectations for how life should be, and when things don't go as planned, we feel anxious, disappointed, or frustrated. The author explains that control is an illusion. While it's important to take proactive steps toward our goals, we cannot control every outcome, nor should we expect to. By releasing our need for control, we free ourselves from the constant pressure to make everything perfect. We learn to flow with life, allowing things to unfold naturally, knowing that we can handle whatever comes our way. One of the most important aspects of cultivating inner peace through acceptance is learning to embrace impermanence. Life is constantly changing. People come and go, circumstances shift, and nothing stays the same forever. Often, we struggle with change because we want to hold on to the familiar, to the way things were. But the truth is, change is inevitable. The author encourages us to embrace the ebb and flow of life, recognizing that everything has its season. When we accept the impermanence of life, we release our attachment to specific outcomes and learn to flow with life's natural rhythms. This acceptance brings a sense of calm and equanimity, even in the face of uncertainty. Acceptance is also key to navigating difficult emotions. Emotions like anger, fear, sadness, or disappointment are often seen as things to avoid or push away. We may resist these emotions because they make us uncomfortable, but the more we try to avoid them, the more power they have over us. The author explains that accepting our emotions, rather than suppressing or rejecting them, is a crucial step in finding peace. When we allow ourselves to feel our emotions fully, without judgment, we release their grip on us. We stop fighting with ourselves, and instead, we allow the emotions to move through us, knowing that they are temporary. This practice of acceptance creates space for healing, as we no longer carry the weight of repressed feelings. Another aspect of acceptance is embracing the unpredictability of life. So much of our stress and anxiety comes from wanting to predict and control the future. We worry about what might happen, imagining worst-case scenarios, and trying to plan for every eventuality. However, life is inherently uncertain, and trying to predict or control the future only creates anxiety and frustration. The author encourages us to accept the uncertainty of life and to trust that whatever unfolds is part of our journey. By letting go of the need to control every aspect of the future, we open ourselves up to the possibility of unexpected opportunities, growth, and experiences. Acceptance of uncertainty allows us to live with more freedom and less fear. The author also introduces practical techniques for cultivating acceptance in our daily lives. One of these practices is mindfulness, which involves being fully present in the moment without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations, and we can choose to accept them as they are without trying to change them. Another technique is reframing, where we shift our perspective on challenging situations. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, we can choose to see them as opportunities for growth or as temporary experiences that will pass. Finally, the author emphasizes that acceptance is not a one-time event, but an ongoing practice. It requires patience and consistency, especially in moments of difficulty. The more we practice acceptance of ourselves, our emotions, and the world around us, the more we cultivate inner peace. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but rather it comes from within. When we accept life as it is, we stop resisting the flow of life and begin to experience a sense of calm, no matter what is happening around us. Cultivating inner peace through acceptance is one of the most powerful tools for living a peaceful and fulfilling life. By accepting ourselves, our emotions, and the world as it is, we free ourselves from the need to control, judge, or fight against reality. Acceptance creates space for peace, resilience, and growth, and it allows us to navigate life with grace and ease. When we embrace acceptance, we unlock the door to lasting inner peace and the freedom to live authentically and fully. How to let go and find true happiness. Within has taken you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. Throughout this book, you've learned that letting go isn't about abandoning what matters, but rather freeing yourself from the weight of what no longer serves you. By releasing old attachments, negative emotions, and limiting beliefs, you've made room for a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment. Remember, letting go is a continual process, not a one-time event. It's about choosing daily to live in the present moment, to forgive, to detach from control, and to embrace change with open arms. As you move forward, keep in mind that true happiness doesn't come from external circumstances. It comes from the peace you cultivate within yourself. You now hold the key to unlocking a life of freedom and true contentment. With every step you take towards letting go, you are creating a brighter, more joyful future. So, trust the process, honor your growth, and know that the happiness you seek is already within you, waiting to be embraced. Thank you for choosing this journey of transformation. May you continue to let go, heal, and live a life that is fully yours, filled with the happiness and peace you deserve.